All right, guys, this is going to be your first lab this year. It's virtual. Normally, this is something we do in person. Um, so if you're getting this during the second 4 weeks or the last 4 weeks, if you're in person, you will be doing a different version of this lab. But this is the best version we could find virtually to still give you the same experience where you get to identify different minerals based on their characteristics. All right, one of the things is if you go back to your vocabulary journal, you will have a list of different characteristics that minerals have. Okay, things like color, streak, luster, sometimes different properties like are they magnetic, do they interact with acid, all of those different things. Okay. What we're going to do today in today's lab is we are going to virtually identify 5 minerals. Okay. The nice part is if you're having a lot of fun, you can actually reset them and get a whole new 5 minerals. Each group is going to be a little bit different. All right, the first thing is once you click on the link to get here, and if you want to make sure you know where the link is, it's right here called Mystery Minerals. And once we get into that, it looks like this. All right. First things first, I want you to read over here how can minerals be defined by their properties. It goes through and it tells you all of the information, stuff that we've already read about, and then what it does, it gives you your procedure. Okay. So there's a video here. It's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on this and you're going to watch the video. Okay. Takes a few seconds to load.
Geologists use a variety of clues.
All right, so you can go from there. Honestly, the video's kind of outdated, but it does have some good information that will help you with our lab. All right, other than that, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using the scale and this book that's called Properties of Minerals. So these are all the possible minerals that are located on this. There's 5 of them. There's way more than 5 up here. That way you're going to have to identify them. All right, so what do we need to do? When we go to our lesson, you're going to notice that right here is our lab sheet. So one of the things I can do is actually put my whole thing halfway. There we go. And then I can actually have over on this side the actual lab. And if we want to make it smaller, we can make it smaller so everything fits. Okay. So that way I can fill out my chart as I am doing the lab. Okay. So I'm just going to go to full screen so you guys can see what I'm doing to make life easier. So as we go into full screen, I'm going to make sure that I'm back to 100% so I can fully see everything. I'm going to take a mineral and I am going to place it on the scale. And when I do, you'll hear a sound. And for some reason it says the loading failed, but it's there. Then you have 4 different items over here that you can use in order to help identify this mineral. The first one is the magnifying glass. So if I hold the magnifying glass over, grab it and hold it over it, it'll give me a little snapshot. Again, the color's not the clearest, but what I will do is I'm going to try to identify, okay, so what color does that look like? Okay, maybe that's a brownish, maybe that's a goldish, maybe it's a blackish, depending on where you're at. Okay, so go back to luster. Is it glassy? Is it kind of earthy? And I'm going to write all those things down. And where am I going to write them? I'm going to write them in my document, okay? If I were to go over here, this doesn't tell me much. But if I go into here, I can then go into the different minerals and it tells me things. So luster, looking for color. So black to brown, okay? White, so it's probably not calcite, okay? So once I get done with that and I go through and I search, I'm going to pull out a different thing. So let's say I want to figure out what is the streak of it. So I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to go to the streak plate. And up here, I'll notice it's like a greenish, whatever color, greenish, maybe brownish, okay? Again, I know it's not ideal, but we're making it work. So I know that's going to be information. So I'm going to be looking over here for streak color. It's not colorless. So I'm going to be looking for something that has a streak color of this kind of greenish, brownish color. All right. Next thing is I'm going to figure out how, what's the hardness of it. So over here is like the hardness of a fingernail. So your fingernail has a hardness, and we're going to try to figure out if this is harder or softer than a fingernail. So when we do that, if we close this, if you notice, I'll do it again. There is no streak on the fingernail or on the rock or mineral, okay? So that means that the mineral is harder than the fingernail. So over here in my next one is a piece of glass. I'm gonna do the same thing. Notice how there again is not a scratch on the mineral. That means that the mineral is harder than a piece of glass. I'm gonna then take all of that information and I am going to look through here. I'm gonna make sure I paid attention to the video. And once I get done, I am gonna come over here and I am going to guess, okay? Remember how I said I know it's not calcite? Because if we go to what does calcite look like, the color is white, sometimes transparent. That's not white or transparent. So I'm gonna click what I think is correct. This is not correct. And I am gonna hit check. And I'm gonna wait for her answer.
The name you have chosen is not the name of the selected mineral sample. Check your table information and the reference cards, then try again.
So I need to go back through here. I maybe need to test again to figure out what the actual mineral is. So once I get done, I can then try my next one. Okay, same thing will load. I will go through the same things. Again, the things that are helpful, the video, this little table of contents, and I can go to any of these different ones. Let's say I think this one is pyrite right away. I'm gonna look, is it brassy gold? Does it have a greenish black streak? Okay, go from there. You do have your notes in your vocabulary journal. Those are gonna be helpful. You do also, or you have watched that mineral identification lab. That's another really important piece of information. All right. Once we get done with the lab or we're working with the lab, we're going to fill this information out. So you're going to fill in the luster. You're going to talk about what's the different kind of luster that it has. Okay. And terms when we say luster would be glassy, pearly, metallic, greasy, silky, dull, earthy, waxy. Okay. You'll describe color streak, hardness. Basically, is it harder or softer than a fingernail, or harder or softer than a piece of glass, okay? When we talk about cleavage or fracture, that's kind of a hard one. Just basically, does it have layers or does it look like it has like crystalline structure, okay? You're gonna write the mineral name and then you're gonna tell us how many guesses it was until you were right. All right, next step, you have 4 questions to complete the lab. Question 1 is you're going to tell us which method or what was most helpful in identifying mineral A. So if I pulled mineral A up here and I said the thing that was most helpful was the streak, I would talk about the streak was the most important because it gave me a green color, and a green color is kind of a identifying characteristic. Then you're going to tell us what is the least helpful. In this case, the fingernail was probably the least helpful. It didn't do anything. It didn't really help me, okay? Because that also told me that the glass is harder than the mineral. Then you're going to answer, why is streak color more reliable than mineral color? This one you might have to guess. And if you struggle with it, take an educated guess on why you think streak color is going to be more important. And finally, why do you think some minerals are easier to identify than others? All right, so that is your mineral lab identification, your mineral identification lab. Again, it's the best we got. We're trying to make it work, but do your best, take your time. And like I said, if you really are struggling with one and you get in here, you can always hit reset and get a whole new set of minerals. And I'll be honest, if you do A here and you do B here and do C here, I don't care. Okay, just do 5 different minerals so they're not all the same. That's all we ask. All right. With that, I hope you have a great day and we will see you in our next lab.